The laughter didn't begin on the dance floor. It began years before that, quietly, slowly, in places no one ever writes about. Hallways, lockers, whispers behind hands. But prom night was the first time it became loud enough that I couldn't pretend it didn't exist. I was 18 years old, standing at the entrance of a decorated hall that smelled like perfume, flowers, and borrowed confidence. Lights hung from the ceiling, casting soft colors over faces that looked excited and nervous at the same time. Everyone seemed to belong there. Everyone except me. I walked in holding my grandmother's hand. Her palm was warm, a little shaky, and familiar in a way nothing else in my life ever had been. She squeezed my hand gently, like she was afraid I might let go once we stepped inside. I didn't have a mother at home helping me straighten my tie or giving me last-minute advice. My mother died while giving birth to me. I've lived with that sentence my entire life, and no matter how many times I hear it, it never feels real. It feels like a story that happened to someone else, except it shaped every part of who I became. I never knew my father. There were no photos hidden in drawers, no phone calls, no explanation that made things easier. Just silence. An empty space people avoided talking about, like saying his name might open something they didn't know how to fix. So from the very beginning, before I could even form memories properly, it was always just the two of us. My grandmother, Doris. She took me in when she was already past 50, when most people her age were thinking about slowing down, not starting over. Her hands were rough from years of work. Her back hurt when she stood too long. Her knees complained every time the weather changed. But her love never hesitated. She read me stories at night, even when her eyes could barely stay open. Sometimes her voice would trail off mid-sentence, and I'd wait quietly until she woke up, embarrassed and apologizing, promising to finish the chapter the next day. She made pancakes every Saturday morning, even when the fridge was nearly empty. Sometimes we didn't have syrup, so she sprinkled sugar on top and pretended it was just as good. She came to every school event, every play, every assembly, every parent-teacher meeting. She always sat in the back, never wanting attention, but I could always tell she was there because her clapping was louder than anyone else's. For a long time, I didn't understand how much she was sacrificing. Then I got older. Then I found out how she kept our life together. She worked as a janitor at my school. I still remember the first time I saw her pushing the cleaning cart down the hallway while I was walking to class. The wheels squeaked. The mop bucket sloshed slightly. She stopped when she saw me, like she hadn't expected us to collide in the middle of my world. For a moment, neither of us moved. She smiled first. I nodded quickly and walked away. That single moment changed everything. People noticed. They always do. And once they noticed, they never forgot. The jokes didn't come all at once. They crept in slowly, like they were testing how much I could take. Ask your grandma to clean my locker. Careful, bleach boy. Guess college didn't work out for her. Sometimes they laughed. Sometimes they whispered. Sometimes they just looked at me and smirked. I learned how to pretend it didn't hurt. I learned how to keep my head down, how to laugh at myself before others could do it for me. I learned how to stay quiet. I never told her. Not once. Because she already worked too hard to feel small. I refused to be the reason she ever doubted herself. By senior year, prom became the center of everyone's life. People talked about dates, outfits, limos, and after-parties like nothing else mattered. I stayed quiet. I listened. I smiled when I had to. I already knew who I wanted to take. The idea came to me late one night while she sat at the kitchen table rubbing her hands together, trying to ease pain she thought I didn't notice. I looked at her and realized something that scared me more than anything else. One day, she wouldn't be here. And I didn't want my memories to be filled with moments where I chose fear over love. So I asked her, At first, she laughed, thought I was joking. Then she panicked. She said she didn't belong there, that people would stare, that she would embarrass me. I told her she could never embarrass me. Prom night came quickly. She wore an old floral dress she'd kept just in case. She kept apologizing again and again for not having something nicer. She kept asking if she looked okay. I told her the truth. She looked perfect. When we stepped into the hall, conversations slowed. Heads turned. I felt that familiar tightness in my chest. But I didn't stop. When the music started and couples rushed to the floor, I stayed still. Then I walked straight towards her and held out my hand. "Will you dance with me?" That was the moment the laughter finally became loud. And that was the moment everything inside me started to crack. The laughter didn't sound playful. It sounded sharp, careless, and heavy, like something being dropped and left to break. I heard the words clearly this time. "Isn't that the janitor? Man, this is awkward. Why would he do that?" I felt my grandmother's hand tightened around mine. Her fingers trembled slightly, and I knew that feeling. It was the same way her hands shook when she was nervous, the same way they did when she thought she was in the way. She leaned closer to me and whispered that maybe she should go home. She said she didn't want to ruin my night. She said she didn't want to embarrass me. That word stayed with me. Embarrass. After everything she had done. I looked at her face, lined with years of work and quiet strength. I saw the woman who stayed up with me through fevers, who skipped meals without telling me, who cleaned floors so I could sit in classrooms and dream about a future she never had the chance to chase. And something inside me finally broke. I let go of her hand and started walking toward the DJ booth. Every step felt heavy, like I was moving through water. My heart was pounding so loudly I was sure people could hear it. The DJ looked confused when I asked for the microphone. He hesitated, then handed it to me. I reached over and turned the music off. The silence that followed felt unreal. All eyes turned toward me. My hands were shaking. My mouth was dry. I took a breath that felt too big for my chest. "I know you're laughing," I said. My voice cracked, but I didn't stop. "I get it. This isn't what prom is supposed to look like." The room stayed silent. I looked at my grandmother. She stood frozen, clutching her purse, already apologizing with her eyes. "This woman raised me," I said. "My mom died giving birth to me. My dad never showed up. She was all I had." No one moved. "She worked every job she could to keep us alive. She cleaned this school so I could stay in it. Some of you laughed at her without knowing she went home every night barely able to stand." My throat tightened. She never missed a single moment of my life, not one, and I stayed quiet when people made fun of her. That part is on me. My voice lowered. But tonight, I'm done being quiet. I felt tears on my face and didn't wipe them away. "This dance is for the woman who saved my life." I handed the microphone back. The music started again, slowly, softly. No one laughed this time. Someone clapped, then another. Then the sound spread through the room until it felt like the walls were holding it up. I walked back to my grandmother. Tears were running down her face. I wiped them gently and asked her to dance again. She nodded. We moved slowly, carefully, like the world had finally decided to give us space. I didn't hear the music. I didn't notice the crowd. All I felt was her hand in mine. And in that moment, I understood something I'd been afraid to admit my whole life. Love doesn't need approval. Years from now, I won't remember who wore what, who dated who, or what song played that night. I'll remember choosing her. I'll remember choosing love over silence. And I'll remember the night I finally became brave enough to stand beside the woman who always stood beside me.